Hello everyone, my name is Roya and today I'm going to tell you all about the books that I've read so far in February. It's actually only February 9th as I'm filming this, but I've already read 6 books, so I figure it is about time to just go ahead and film this. So most recently I read The Gathering Storm by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. This is the 12th book in the Wheel of Time series, and for those of you joining us in this read-along, the next live show for this book will be on Saturday, March 2nd here on this channel at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so there will be a live show announcement up as well closer to that date, but basically that's the day that the live show is going to be. So this book is definitely my favorite in the series so far because it's a doozy, like I'm not even kidding you. So this is the first one that was actually written by Brandon Sanderson after Robert Jordan passed away, and Brandon Sanderson ended up being the one continuing the series. So I don't know how much of an outline from Robert Jordan he had to go off of or anything like that. But the chapters are definitely split up very differently from the rest of the series. So instead of like 35 chapters, we have 50 that are just shorter. And then instead of being 100 pages long, the prologue is like really short, like 10 pages. So I was actually very surprised. I listened to most of this on audio, and when the prologue ended and it was chapter 1, I was like, whoa, that was short. I was expecting like way more. Like I was expecting to be listening to the prologue for like a million years, like with all the rest of them. But so I did definitely expect a difference in writing style. So I wasn't very surprised that there was one, but I was very surprised at how completely differently the chapters were split up and everything. But anyway, this book is my favorite one, definitely. I still gave it 4 stars. I've given every single one in the series 4 stars, but I think this one was my favorite just because of not only like how much we've gone through with these characters to lead up to this point, but also just how much happened to everybody in this one and just how insane this book was. There was just so much happening, and like everybody had something bad happen to them or something good or something insane, and that I was just not expecting. And before that I read the first 2 books in the Horse Mistress saga, Airs Beneath the Moon and Airs and Graces. This is about a girl named Larkin who's a farm girl. She finds this this winged horse, this winged foal. So she ends up having to go to this academy for like girls who fly these winged horses, and she's like the only one who's not some proper young lady. She's just a girl from a farm, so everyone there's really mean to her, all kinds of stuff. And so her situation is pretty unusual. And then, I was expecting a lot more from this story. It was good, and it was good, you know, good quality, a good quality story, good writing, all of that stuff. So it wasn't a bad book, but it just was very lacking in a lot of the storytelling. So a lot of the like girls being mean to her at the academy thing was very glossed over, and most of it happened off the scenes. So the first book in particular had very little conflict to it. The second one was a lot better, but just still didn't quite do it for me. So these books ended up being just okay, basically. And then also there is some very, very questionable genderqueer and trans rep, because so the villain of the story is this duke that is in charge of the place that the winged horses come from, and he's a douchebag, and he is very one-track minded, and he's like, literally there's a lot of animal cruelty just to show how evil he is, sort of thing. Like, he actually kills a baby horse in the first book just because I guess the book doesn't trust us to know that he's the villain. They have to just have him do all these horrible things, like, just because. And so it's very weird. But anyway, he wants to fly a winged horse really, really badly, and I don't know why. There's no real reason that we're given. But basically, the winged horses only bond with girls. So he takes a potion to try and change his body to be more female so that a horse wouldn't just be all weirded out by him and would actually bond with him and allow him to fly on it. So by the end of the second book, he's almost completely in a female body, but he's not female. He's still a man, and he's just like going completely off the rocker because I mean, he was already a messed up person before, but he gets even more he gets to be an even more messed up person just because he's in a female body now when he's a man, and he just doesn't, he's not that okay with that. He's only doing that because he wants to fly a horse, all kinds of stuff. So, and like a lot of stuff about these books just did not make any sense, and I wasn't too happy about that representation. But overall, it's not that bad. Like, the writing is still really good, that sort of thing. I may pick up the third book at some point, but I just don't really have the interest in doing so right now because this was just kind of that's ended up being sort of a so-so read. First book that I read this month is The Antidote, and this was sent to me for review. This is now already out. It came out this month, and it is about a girl who lives in this world where magic is forbidden, and she actually does have magic, but she's been made to take an antidote for basically her whole life. And then she finds out that there's some sort of plot against her best friend, who's the crown prince, and she has to kind of find out what's going on. So this was a very fast-paced read. It took a few chapters to really get there. At first it started off really boring, but after that it was just like go, 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 action, like conflict, all kinds of stuff, so it was really good. But the thing that I had kind of an issue with was just how many things were kept from the main character just to be a more dramatic reveal later on, when there was actually no reason for her to not be told about it already. So, like, there's even an instance of like, oh, well, we can't tell you that right now, and there's no reason why. And it's just so that a couple chapters later she finds out in a more dramatic way. And so that seemed kind of like that could have been better thought out, but overall I really liked this book a lot. Another book sent to me for review was Vortex Visions by Elise Kova. This is the first book in the Air Awakens Vortex Chronicles series. This also came out at the beginning of this month already, so you can go ahead and read it if you feel so inclined. You don't have to have already read Air Awakens to read this, but I really enjoyed this book. This follows the daughter of the main character from Air Awakens, and it's very different because it takes place in a totally different part of the kingdom for the most part, and it really sets us up to be seeing so much more of the world in which this takes place throughout the rest of this series as further books come out. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I also liked how completely different she was in personality while still being similar to the main character from the original series. It's definitely an action-packed adventure that left me really excited to read the next one. And finally, I also read Overruled by Brittany Joy this month. This is a very interesting book that I really wanted to like a lot more, but it ended up being kind of just okay. It had some really creative ideas, such as a lot of it revolves around this queen and princess who basically the ruling family have magic, and then only one person can actually have the full range of magic at a time. So basically, as the princess's magic gets stronger, she can take the throne from the queen, because she is her magic would be weakening if her daughters get stronger. And so that was very interesting to see that sort of rule of succession in a way. So this did have some very interesting world building aspects, but that was just about where the stuff I liked about it sort of ended. It did drag a lot of stuff into the story that didn't actually play a big role in it. There was a lot that didn't go explained very well, and there was also a lot of typos in it as well, so I think that this book could have been better thought out and better edited. I think the biggest thing that wasn't thought out very well is the world building, because even though, like I said, it did have some creative aspects to it, it pulled a lot of stuff from the world as we know it, even though it's a fantasy world. So there are references to Indians, there are references to Snow White, and other like stuff that we know from this world. So it seemed very weird that this book wouldn't have its own stuff to go off of, and instead had to like pull stuff from the real world. So that really bothered me kind of the entire time. There was also this romantic subplot between one of the two main characters and somebody else that started off being very well written, and then just started getting really shoved down our throats. Like, from the main character's point of view, it would be like, oh, well, she didn't like that, that he started talking to another girl, or that she had involved another girl in their escape plan, or whatever it is. And it seemed very unnecessary to go into any of that, because we could already see it's like the book didn't trust us to see for ourselves that, like, hey, this person has feelings for this person, even though it was just so obvious anyway. So that sort of stuff, Jeff definitely just could have been better. And this was a very entertaining, quick read type of thing, but overall, I didn't like this book as much as I expected it to. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the first half of February. If you've read any of these books and have any thoughts on them, definitely let me know. And let me know what books you've read this month that you're most excited about, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!